Igbo na-ege ntị, anyị ekene unu ọzọ n'ụbọchị uhuruchi nke tata. Anyị si unu dalụ nne n'ụlọ ife kunu si wee na-esore anyị ya na-eme n'iru akwụkwọ na Eastern News 24. Anyị si n'ụbọchị nke taa ya dịrị na anyị na mma. Anyị sịkwa na anyị ya dịka echi na-echi ada agwụ agwụ, otu anyị kwuru otu akwa ya dịrịrị ise ise ise. Anyị dịka o si dị dịka anyị si kwuo unu nkwa n'iru akwụkwọ na anyị ga na-enye unu ya bụ update bụ gbasara maka ife na-eme n'obodo a gbasara maka nwere ụwa na-azọ. O nwere ife anyị wetelu n'iru akwụkwọ dịka anyị si kwuo unu nkwa, ya bụ nnukwu update gbasara maka ka o si adị, maka ọwa ka ọ dị. Ọ bụ na ya dị enye unu update bụ ife na-eme n'obodo a, so ọ bụ ya ka anyị ji wee sị mba na ya ma mgba nkịtị ka ihe na-emenụ, na anyị ga na-enye unu update kwunu na-ama ka o si ada, ka mmiri si agba opi ụgbọgọrọ. Geenụ ntị kwunu n'ife nwanne anyị were ịgwa anyị n'iru akwụkwọ. Ị ga-esi ya bụ ife dropụla your own comment n'iru akwụkwọ gbasara maka ihe ndị a niile kwugasị dị iche iche. All right, over to you, sir.
Yes, now is Navy Commodore Kunle Olawumi, retired. He's a former commandant of the Defense Intelligence College, Abuja, and former Deputy Defense Attaché to France. Now, Commodore Olawumi is currently the HOD of International Relations and Diplomacy Department at Christland University, Abeokuta, Ogun State. He will also comment on the released students of Kaduna State abducted by terrorists. Good morning and a very warm welcome to the morning show, sir.
Good morning and thanks for having me. Well, Commodore, how did we get here that civilians would slaughter 17 soldiers? And in Ohoro Forest, the Nigerian police force, they are also telling us that 6 of their men were killed. Another 6 are still missing. In Imo State, 2 policemen were also killed. What happened to police community relations, army community relations? How did the people lose confidence in the security agencies that they will just be slaughtering officers? What is the way forward?
Thank you very much for that question. Looking for a way forward is going to be a very hard nut to crack. The scene you are seeing in recent times has been long time coming. If you recall, in this same Niger Delta, military men were being killed, in 2005, 2006, 2007, during Obasanjo's time. You remember the OD episode? And when Yada also came, he was very firm and wanted to stop what was going on. We moving into Delta at that time, and it was discovered that most of the things that were happening was mostly political. People that wanted to be governors, senators were using armed boys to, cause trepidation and fear to their opponents. And after the election, they are often abandoned. And when we went into Delta, then we discovered that most of the groups, the renegade groups, were affiliated to one politician or the other. And the president called them to order, and at the end of the day, some of them stopped what they were doing, but majority of them refused. On the air, I would like to mention some names that are still in the corridor of power. Alamese is gone, so it's one of them. And when the killing of soldiers was consistent and continuous, in 2007, Yarada called all the military intelligence agencies together and actually give them the order to put this into an end. So he called the DIA, the NIA, the DSS, Inspector General of Police, the Chief of Staff to him then. And this thing was stopped within 1 year of his giving us that order. It's very disheartening for me in particular that this is happening again because the amount of money the federal government spent then, the amount of men and materials that we lost, to put this to the point of this amnesty program that you're all talking about today, is very, very, very painful to see that all those efforts, during Yar'Adua's time has come to naught. The politicians have started again. Whatever you are seeing in Delta, I have the DNA structure of Delta in my hand. Whatever you see going on now is political. What they're trying to do is to warm up for 2007. And at the end of the day, they're going to made the federal government to fight on two fronts. If you open the flank in Niger Delta now with what we are having in the north, the central government is going to collapse, basically.
That's a dire picture that you've painted. Now, take us through, because you were part of this process, and as you're describing, the use of politics, the weaponizing of politics in this. What were those steps that were taken that you feel were most effective during your time that need to be reintroduced?
I think the most important thing is intelligence process, that we did then. We noticed that the kinetic approach, was not working. We were losing men to Tompolo, Sogoma, George, Ateke, Tom, Asarido, Kubo. We were losing men to them all the time. Camp 5 was so difficult to go. And the DSS, that was tasked with that job then, could not perform because they relied just on kinetic efforts. And I remember when they went to the burial of one of the militant leaders, I don't want to start mentioning names now, with a view to arresting him. They went with 80 scouts. They called those guys scouts, to arrest him. When they got there, they met with about 500 fighters, that were protecting this guy. And they basically capitulated, So what we did was to apply soft intelligence, that's electronic intelligence. We use also geospatial intelligence locators to ensure we know where some of the key figures were. And we were able to get them. People like Ateke Tom, Sogoma George, and so on. Even Asarido Kubo, we were invited to Abuja and we spoke to them. And when we also saw that they were also handicapped, because they have leaders and politicians, we went after the top brass among them. And once we took him out from Angola, everything collapsed. So that's what we did.
Okay, I'm excited if you know Niger Delta very well and you hear things like Camp 5, your ear pops up, because that's the tributary at which you can get, vessels in, to the ports in Warri then, and that's the hub for most of these guys, they stay at Camp 5, and once they lock up Camp 5, you cannot definitely, come in there. You talked about using geospatial intelligence and all other things like that. So was the Amnesty program a suggestion tool that came in, to be able to quell things down? And when those guys were told, okay, get off there, the new economy was created for them, because that period also segued, most of those boys were also boys that segued into the fight from Warri then, Ekurede Shekiri fight and all of that. I don't want to go on, with like the names you had mentioned, but was the Amnesty program to soften the deal then as we speak, number one? Number two, you talked about politics. Some other people have said this killing of the army might also be related to resource, and they've talked about the bunkering that is going on around there and the endurance angle to the matter. And the fact that part of those boys now have been empowered greatly by the state to be able to create a buffer, and there's a rivalry across the groups. Can you also just talk us through the rivalry? And also, talk us through the level of complicity, by some of the forces, because at that time too, you guys who had problems of complicity, because as you guys then in the military had struck, a deal and orchestrated a plan, before you knew it, those boys in the creeks too were hearing all the things you were doing.
Yeah, that's a multiple barrier question.
So sorry, I get excited when I see.
Yeah, but I'm very clear about your questions. Let's talk about the amnesty. The amnesty program was something, as I tell people sometimes, that I designed personally, and we just pick it up from East Timor. We saw what they did, and we just basically copy. It's not anything big. But what I've discovered is that it's not being implemented. It's been corrupted completely. That's not what we planned. And the idea of amnesty, even though it came from the Defense Intelligence Agency, but it was guided by Yaradua himself. We had our options, option A, 2, 3, and Yaradua actually didn't want bloodshed. That was why everybody's enjoying what is amnesty, because we have the capacity at a time when they turned to DIA to focus on the issue. We actually got the capacity to take people out, whether in Nigeria or outside Nigeria. When we had the option of taking somebody out in South Africa, Jared actually called us to order that it doesn't want bloodshed. It's better for us to take the people alive and get further intelligence. And actually, the idea of amnesty was reinforced by Jared's option. Otherwise, it was easy for us to just take people out anywhere they are. And the issue of military compliance, of course, it has always been there. I will not defend military on that. Even right now, military gets involved in bunkering activities. So that's not an issue. I mean, every egg, there will be one bad person there. But military has always been complicit.
Do you think that also hit up the tension as regards these current incidents with the factionalization and the splinter groups, of the cells?
Yeah. As I mentioned, let's say arrogantly, that I have the DNA of Delta. Whatever is going on in Bematuru and some of this area, I know. One, because I've not left Delta since I left the military. Fortunately, also, I was a senior lecturer of intelligence and security studies in Novena University for 4 years. So I basically trained all these militants, some of them that you are seeing.
That's a quality.
Is in Amai, but the school is actually based in Kwale. So I was there for 4 years, training all of them because they came through Amnesty program. So I still have them, I know them, they talk to me. And I know exactly what is going on there now. That's why I try to look at the big picture and say it is more political than economy. I want to risk something by telling you the involvement somehow of Tantita. The federal government, they're always making a mistake of trying to appease the militants or terrorists and so on. The guy that is being looked for right now, they should investigate. He has Tantita protection.
Who is that?
I don't want to mention his name. So,
but Tantita is the one fighting them, and Tantita has been doing a good job.
It's very complex. That guy himself was given part of the contract. Tantita project. So he also has the capacity provided by Tantita for him to actually protect. But when something went wrong somewhere and he felt aggrieved, he went there and did some of the things he did. But not alone. But this is not where we should start. These are intelligence.
Some people want to back it up and say, is there proof for all of this?
You want me to go to that place and take pictures?
One major thing that people talk about is failure of intelligence. And you have background, in that area. Every time, even the military is, people should assist them with intelligence. Why is the intelligence always failing? Is it something with the way our security system is designed? Some people have said technology. We need to deploy technology. Is it a new concept that people are just talking about technology, when in other parts of the world we're so advanced? And do you think state police can help solve the problem? Because the state governors say, well, maybe if they control the security in their states through the instrumentality of state police, maybe there will be an improvement. So I go back to my original question about the way forward.
Yeah, but you've asked 3 questions in one, and I was following. The intelligence failure is one of them.
Yes.
What people don't understand about intelligence is that the practitioners themselves don't have problem, because intelligence circle is basic. It's like economic 101. The direction up to when you disseminate, they're basic process. It's like mathematics, basically. But the point is that once you disseminate to the director, whoever directs that intelligent process, once you disseminate, your job is done. It is always politics. If I can tell you many processes that we have tried to do in the past that the politicians will just kill it. Once you finish from DHQ, the defense quarter, and if you pass it to them, there's nothing you can do after that. There's nothing you can do after that. We have had cases where we are supposed to go and pick somebody up in Brazil. Once that government left, the next government decided that no, we should kill it. So it's not that we fail most of the time. It's just because the political class, first of all, they are not as educated as they should. Most of them are not worthy of those offices because they can't even interpret technical data that you present to them, they can't even, they don't even have time. So I think we have a problem with the political class, not with intelligence failure. There are times also we provide intelligence, actionable intelligence, and they will tell us to stand down. You can't do anything. And something will happen later, and it becomes so disastrous and injurious to the nation. An intelligence officer will not come up and say, oh, but we told them and they didn't do it. We just keep quiet and watch them. The intelligence failure and processes are something that has to do with political class, not the practitioners. If you go to DIA, go to DMI, go to DNI and Air Force, you will see a lot of information that will help in what we are trying to discuss, but they're not going to do it. The way forward, I think we should look at the politicians in the Delta. They're about to start again, as they did in 2007, 2006. And this is to provoke the army or the military to make mistakes. And once they make mistakes, then it's going to inflame that zone to the point that, as I said earlier, the federal government may have to fight on two fronts, and that's not good for them. They shouldn't look at what happened recently. They should try to project and say, okay, let us quickly call those politicians to order now. And if I come next time, I may start mentioning their names because they are listening to me. They are trying to cause another problem and destroy all the effort of Yar'Adua in bringing amnesty to that area. Another way forward is that they should try to look at NDDC. Because that's one of the things we promoted, that's the recommendation we made. A lot of money has gone to NDDC. They should do a forensic investigation of NDDC, because my friend in Delta told me that most of the money sent to that zone, that they are not seeing it. Corruption in NDDC and Ministry of Niger Delta and some of the agencies of government that are supposed to reduce the tension, hunger, and deprivation in that area. Everything has been done by the federal government, but the people that are implementing it are corrupt to the point that it is no longer efficient. And that's why that thing is coming up again. People are feeling the same way they were feeling in 2006, in 2004, where you are seeing the likes of Sobuma George. We have gotten to that point again because nobody is actually checking the NDDC. How are they spending the money?
Okay.
State police. I asked you about state police.
I have written paper for General Said once on this issue of state police. But the way Nigeria is today, I will not recommend it now. It's desirable. We could have done it like 10 years back. But now Nigeria is so fragile, so polarized now, that all the indices that actually led to First World War, if you study First World War, they are here now. So I'm thinking if you start state police now, issue of nationalism, which is one of the elements, is going to be, it may facilitate, it may fast track the dissolution of this country.
Now, let's take a look at, you spoke about when you were engaged in the management of some of these crises in the past, and the fact that these are armies, basically, in essence, that are being battled, and the fact that kinetic force turned out not to be successful as you would have liked. Given the current humanitarian situation that's brewing at the moment, you look at the number of casualties, we're yet to really know what the real numbers of lives lost is. Do you think that violence, the use of violence, armed combat, was well managed in this situation? Could they have done better to prevent the loss of lives of innocent civilians?
Yeah, I've listened to a lot of debates and discourse on this issue. Being a military mind, it's normal when you look at what happened in Gaza, Israeli-Gaza war. When you hit military guys the way this guy did, nothing's going to, if I'm in the system, nothing's going to stop me from overrunning that place until we get whoever did it. And anybody that is hiding him, we may be ready to take the person out. Because by now, I expect the community to have actually brought him out. We know his name, we know everything. And if they say, oh, they're under siege, there's a lot of emotion. They're under siege. Oh, why not bring him out? You know him. You know where he stays. When they went to destroy his house, you knew where he ran to. Why not bring him out? So if you are complacent, or if you compromise security by hiding a criminal gang, then you get what you get. I don't want us to be emotional about it, that maybe military did well. It's like if Ruben now, if you go under knife and a doctor is supposed to conduct a surgical operation on you, and then your wife jump into the theater and shouting that the blood is too much, is trying to control what the doctor is doing. People should allow military to do their job. They are highly trained, they are highly educated, they are not as illiterate as you think them. I had my PhD before as a captain, Navy captain. And I have a lot of colleagues that have PhD. Most of them, they went to do
Commodore, the military too, in a democracy, they are answerable to the rule of law.
The rule of law, yeah.
They cannot take the law into their hands.
We know about the rule of law more than you ever, the Geneva. Go to National Defense College and go and audit their programs. Human rights. My PhD paper was on human rights. Nigeria, you just Google my name, you see it on the map. We know about human rights, we know about the Geneva Convention, we know about the rules of engagement. We are trained in all this. And we are getting better at it. Our school, our institution. I was commandant of Defense Intelligence College, and I used to train journalists. We are opening up. We are not as crude as you think. We should allow the doctor to remove the cancer in about his hand or whatever.
No, I reject it.
They should not go and be disturbing the doctor. You should not do this. Allow the military to do their job.
So a couple of pushback to that will be, we all saw what happened in OD, but the state later down the line was forced to pay compensation because the court ruled against them. So do we want that to continue at the expense of a community? Those people too have rights, and you cannot punish everybody when everybody's suffering. I mean, today we talk about the imbalance as regards Gaza, where they are going in the name of fighting Hamas, but also killing Palestinians and destroying them, and going to places like the West Bank. So that's another argument.
I agree with you 100% that if a military operation, if the casualty or the collateral damage is beyond certain, let's say 10%, of course you have your date in the court. There are court martials, there are military processes that take care of that. If I go for an operation and I lose even my own men more than the required number that is gazetted, I will have my day in court. So if any military man goes to anywhere and maybe he was overbearing, then after there'll be investigation and you'll be tried.
In all of this, you're talking about politicians. You want to talk about the role the Delta State government should be playing in all of this. Also, understanding the political structure in Delta and the antecedents of these players. I want you to elaborate on that. Secondly, you talked about fighting on two fronts. The first sector is the creek sector here, the South-South. The second sector is the insurgency and banditry that has opened up a new ecosystem. I mean, you just saw a couple of people that are released. What's your take? Do you think ransoms were paid? Or you think it was a military action that got there and brought people out? Why is it that we don't hear that the military, after having rescued the people, engage with these people and hurt them or arrest them? Because that's another sector that is opening. And so we're finding across two fronts in a country where we have less than 300,000 soldiers.
Okay, let me start from, you've asked like 3 questions again. Let me start from the governor. I don't trust him. I don't trust them. I was in Saple.
You don't trust the governor of Delta State?
I'm not all of them.
All the governors in the South, even Doediri and all of that?
I think the only person I can trust in this country is Zulum of Borno State. I don't want to talk about those governors. They don't even know why they are the chief security officer of a state. They don't even know. What the judge do is to share money and do things, so I don't want to talk about them.
You don't trust their competence or their capacity? Let's get it right.
Both. They're not competent, and when you're not competent, you don't have capacity. Mention of them that has capacity or that is competent, or that is there because of the interest of the people that is there to govern. Mention one. I've mentioned Zulum. So let's talk about them. Let's look at the issue of Delta. You have the Joy, Robo, you have all those. I used to go on combat patrol in Warri, where they will write in their building, This is Isokoma House.
Yeah.
The riots and all
Yeah,
those
that was
things.
during the fights.
Yeah, they've always been having this commission. And I'm talking about like 1993, 1994, you know. But the other question you're asking, the third question was about, that's the last question you asked now.
Yeah, I was like fighting across the front, the
Oh.
war economy.
That's
the fact
brilliant,
that,
yeah.
do you think that even ransom was paid in this operation because...
Ransom was paid. Let me just answer that one.
Really? Are you sure? You have proof?
Let them debunk it. Let them take me on. The ransom was paid.
In this Kaduna release?
Oh yes, ransom was paid, and that's another area I don't want to talk
I asked about proof anyway. I said, you have proof, because of the sake of balancing.
I should give you now.
No, just for the sake of balancing.
No. There's ransom was paid. These guys, they took these guys and they said they want 1 billion. So one day they just woke up and they're so happy. Then I said, okay, come and take we are tired of them, come and take them. So, but the issue of two fronts is I'm talking to Tinubu now. He should not look at what is happening. He should not leave this into all those governors, because it's politics that are playing there. And they are taking the crude oil and stealing whatever they can get, since the government is not doing what they're supposed to do. But Tinubu should pay attention. He cannot afford to fight war on two fronts. It can't. Even the military is not designed usually to fight on two fronts. And when you look at what happened in Israel, the Gaza, what the Hezbollah tried to do is to open another front in the north. So at the border of Lebanon, they tried to do that, but the Americans were there and they tried to suppress it quickly, and it did not happen. Tinubu should try to douse what is happening. He should try to do dialogue with them. They just need some money, they need some care, they need some attention. And now they are starting, if the military make mistakes by doing the UD episode, then...
You think the military should be withdrawn from the Niger Delta now? Should de-escalate tension from those communities?
Yeah, I think at this point, if they've not been able to achieve the operational imperatives or the objectives, if by now, then they should pull out from there. They should allow the DSS. At this point now, it's DSS and the police that they should allow to do the job. The military should pull out.
So do you think that the military is overstretched? Because increasingly the Nigerian military is doing police work. Although yes, the constitution says they can come in aid of civilian authority, but they seem to be doing police work almost permanently. Do you have an issue with that?
I've always told even when I was in the defense headquarters, I've told generals that they are weakening the military by allowing us to work with the police on IS duties. IS duties is internal security duty. It's not our job. The question you should be asking media is that where is the DSS in Delta State? Don't they have state director of DSS in that place? Don't they? During Obasanjo time and Yar'Adua time, DSS, they were very, very active. Very, very active. When we started prosecuting this Niger Delta issue, if you see what the DSS gave us, it was amazing. They were very proactive. They have schools, they have combat troops, and so they were very, very active. Where are they now? Somebody should be resigning from his job. Delta, don't they have commissioner of police?
Will it be political will on the part of the Tinubu administration? That is the problem.
Yeah, no, when you look at the way this thing runs, policy, strategic level, operational level, and tactical level, Tinubu has nothing to do with this one. If you are the director of DSS in Delta, so Tinubu should not tell you what to do. If you are the commissioner of police in Delta, let's say in Warri or in Bayelsa, so Tinubu should come and tell you what to do. So some of them should be going to their villages.
Sorry, just to follow up on that, but do you think there was prior intelligence that they were going to hurt the military officers before they were killed?
That's where you can talk about intelligence failure. And that is where
Do you think there was probably prior intelligence out and probably that was at the doorstep of the governor and nothing was acted upon?
No. That's not how it works. These guys were planning this operation weeks before that something. They were just looking for the time and place to strike. The failure of intelligence is not more on the JTF or the military. It's more on the DSS. I know how the system works. The DSS, they are everywhere. They are all over, all those villages, all those places. They have DSS operatives there. How come they are not aware that this was going to happen? When they were loading the boats, when they were arming the boats, all their sources and agencies, their informants, where were they? The structure of security has collapsed, basically. We get the information from DSS, in the DIA. All this operation I'm making out that we did, it's DSS that gave us the information to know where they are, what they are doing, because they have very active DSS in 2006, 2007.
So are you probably saying that there was no information float of this possible attack out there anywhere?
It's among the militants. If you want to ask that question, I want me to answer you. I remember I mentioned somewhere that you have these former militants that have embraced amnesty. They know. If you want to find out very well now, call the Tantita and ask how this happened. They know.
Also, another follow-up question. Do you think the former militants that have embraced amnesty, are they still bunkering today?
Yeah, some of them, I have their names. Some of them, they try to be politicians. Some of them failed this time. They wanted to be deputy governor. They want to be senators, and none of them made it. So,
are you think they're back to bunkering?
They never stopped bunkering.
Even after the amnesty then?
Yeah, they never stopped.
And the schooling and everything, they never stopped bunkering. They were still bunkering.
They never stopped bunkering.
Do you make it seem like this is an impossible situation to resolve?
It's not impossible. Tinubu just have to do something now.
So it's only the presidency that can resolve?
It's the commander-in-chief that can do something. Right now, he should be firing some of his aides. And I'm made bold to say that. Some of the people, I don't want to mention specific officers.
Give us names. You want to go for it?
But in terms of what the military did in Kaduna State, the military collaborating with the office of the NSA and local authorities and rescuing, well, we don't know the exact number. Some say 137, some say 287, some say 168. What's your assessment of that operation?
It's a circus. Most of the thing you are saying is deception, is lies.
Deception?
Deception simply means lies surrounded, not truth, surrounded by a bodyguard of lies. There's some truth, but there are a lot of lies. If you want, negotiation is another process entirely. But if somebody say he wants to collect 1 billion, you now say you collaborate, I think that collaboration should be in terms of the federal government helping with the funding. That's the collaboration.
But the president says nobody should pay ransom.
They paid. They paid.
Have you got proof for this?
They disobeyed the commander-in-chief.
I know the mind of terrorists. If they say they want 1 billion, they will not, without you either killing them, they won't give up their prize. The children are the prize, and they've demanded for money. They now go to talk to them when they've risked their life, when one of the teachers was killed, and you just went and collect the boys, you negotiated with them. Some people even talk about Gumi and so on. They collected money. They have to buy more arms after this. They have to become stronger after this.
The negotiation ecosystem. Recently, Tuko Mamu has been arrested by the authorities and everything. I mean, let's talk about the negotiation ecosystem, because these professional negotiators that are getting into these areas of the north with them. What can we do about that negotiators ecosystem?
No, those ones, they are not negotiators now.
But he's been arrested by the security forces.
Because he was simply helping himself. I know the person you're talking about, Toko Abi.
Yeah.
He was collecting money and having his own and was sharing, or just basically the sharing.
Collecting money on behalf of who?
Of himself and the terrorists. Because he wasn't collecting the money on behalf of government. He wasn't negotiating for because.
So the negotiators ecosystem. What can we do about them? Necessary evil or?
It's necessary evil when you are having an asymmetric situation on your hands. Somebody can just catch somebody and say you must pay me or whatever. So it's an asymmetric situation. So it's necessary, but it's not being done professionally. Who has? You have to appoint a negotiator. I studied negotiation in Harvard. You must appoint, and there are very, very tedious processes. So you can't just jump up like Gumi will say he's going to the bush to go and negotiate. Is it for himself, or is it for the federal government, or is it for the terrorists? Some of these people are supposed to have been arrested by now. They should be out of circulation. And I don't know why Tinubu is condoning some of these iniquities. It's been happening during Buhari time. and he's looking. Gumi is harassing him.
Maybe
Some of the
not-
things Gumi said, if I say it on TV now, I will be arrested. And why is he condoning him? What is he afraid of?
Maybe the president is not getting the appropriate advice. Do you
Well,
think
that's why
the
he has
problem?
Ribadu as he's the NSA. And NSA, he should do his job. NSA should not be going to negotiate with terrorists.
What's your take on the NSA?
What's my take on the NSA? I mean, I cannot really
Capacity, competence
repudiate the choice of the commander-in-chief. If you say that's his choice, fine. And you don't know what he wants out of him. But there are standards all over the world when you...
What are those standards? Quickly as we wrap up, I know we have to go.
What are those standards? In-depth knowledge of international security environment, experience on the job, both field experience, and you must command the respect of the armed forces of Nigeria.
Okay.
Well, finally, Commodore, they released the names of some terrorism financiers recently. Do you think that's also deception?
I've been shouting that they should arrest those guys. But these ones they arrested or they put their name out are just front desk officers.
Receptionists. Okay.
They're just
drop it.
reception.
ndị by daalụ nne nu kwuru si na-esoro anyị ya na-eme n'iru akwụkwọ dịka iso wee gee ya bụ ife ịnụrụ ihe the Ballon the Gentle Lion kwugasị n'iru akwụkwọ n'ụbọchị nke taata anụ ọzọ dịka ibu ya bụ ka efi nwere ikwu gbasịta maka ya bụ ife ndị a niile kwugasị n'iru akwụkwọ ife okwu olili nne o kwuru ya dịka o si dị ka efi nwere ike ikwu gbasịta maka ya bụ ife a drop ya on the comment section below. Chetakwa ya bụ Eastern News 24 ka anyị si were wetara unu nnukwu ozi ya dị oke mkpa. Daalụ na ụmụnne m gwa nke emesịa.